Welcome to 8th Standard Social Science, Civics, 4th Unit, Human Rights and UNO. Listen carefully to this session. In case of any doubts, make a note of it, which shall be clarified on the day of reopening. So now let's enter into today's topic. Today we are going to see about human rights and UNO. UNO means United Nations Organization. So everybody in this world are born equal. So everyone are equal. So we should be treated equally without any discrimination. And also each individual in the world has the right to lead a dignified life of his or her own choice. So everyone have the equal human rights to lead a life in the society. And also human rights denotes all those rights that are inherent and ensure that we live as a free people and exercise our choices. And also every human has its own and equal rights. So now let's see the definition for human rights. So what are human rights? Human rights are rights inherent to all human beings regardless of race, gender, nationality, ethnicity, language and religion. So human rights is the basic rights. It is granted to every human being without showing any discrimination based on the race, based on the religion, caste and creed, gender, based on the language. So without any discrimination, everyone has their own rights. And also human rights include freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression and fair trial, the right to life, work and education. So human rights means freedom of slavery, opinion, expression, then work and education. So now let's see, where do human rights come from? So where do we get this concept of human rights? So a set of basic rights and freedoms has deep roots in European and American countries. So we got the concept of human rights from the European and American countries. So let's see some sources. Sources means some written precursors of human rights documents or the birth of United Nations. So let's see it. First one is the written precursors of human rights and documents. So let's see some documents in European countries as well as America which is related to human rights. So first one is the Magna Carta of 1215, that is 1215 of England. So Magna Carta of England is regarded as a main document for human rights. Why? Because it gave people the new right and made the king subject to the law. Even if the king had made something offense, he is subjected to law. So law is equal not only for common people but also for the king. So it proves the human rights in England. So hence it is called the Magna Carta of England. And next one is the Petition of Right. Petition of Right in 1628 of England. So what happened? It set out the rights of the people. So according to this petition, it gave some basic rights to the people in England. And next one is the Habeas Corpus. So the Habeas Corpus Act of 1679 of England. That means it is an act for the better securing liberty of the subject. For example, if a person he didn't committed crime means if some other relatives or some other person can file a case for that particular prisoner. So they can relieve the prisoner from the crime. So that is called Habeas Corpus Act of 1679. And next one is the English Bill of Rights of 1689. So the English Bill of Rights of 1689. So it set certain basic civil rights. So it gave certain basic civil rights. That means law is equal to all, to the upper class as well as to the lower class. And next one is the French Declaration on the Rights of Man and Citizen of 1789. So, according to that, it is a document of France stating that all citizens are equal under the law. So, according to that, all are equal under the law. Before law, everyone are equal. So, it is a French document. And next one is the US Constitution and Bill of Rights of 1791. So, according to this bill, it safeguards the rights of the citizen. So, it safeguards the common rights of the citizen. So, these are all the documents related to human rights. And next we can see about the birth of United Nations, that is UNO. So, the idea of human rights emerged stronger after the Second World War. This war led to unimaginable violation of human rights. So, how this United Nations was started means it started because of the Second World War, because of the violations against the human rights in the Second World War, they started the United Nations. So many people, so during the times of war, the human lives lost its value and those affected by war had to struggle till the end of their life. So atrocities during the Second World War made a clear that previous efforts to protect the individual rights from the government violation were inadequate. So the rights of man were prevented or eliminated in several parts of the world due to several factors. So it is proved that the government of some countries alone could not protect the human rights. So the people wanted to ensure that they must need some association. So these voices played a critical role at San Francisco meeting, in which the United Nations Charter was drafted in 1945. So because of the atrocities in the World War II, the people thought government alone cannot support their life. So they need one organization. For that only United Nations organization was drafted in 1945. So the UNO, which was established on 24th October 1945, it took up the basic issue. So the human rights is an important theme in all UN policies and programs in the areas of peace and security, development, humanitarian assistance and economic as well as social affairs. So UNO was started or drafted on 24th October 1945, where the basic theme or the basic motive is protection of human rights. So the meeting was held at San Francisco. So the voices played a critical role in the San Francisco meeting, which led to the drafter or which led to the charter of UNO, that is United Nations Organization. Now let's see the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. One of the greatest achievements of United Nations is the creation of human rights law. To advance this goal, the UN established a commission on human rights. So, one of the greatest motive is to create some basic laws for human rights. For that only a commission was established. So, the commission was guided by Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of the former US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Forceful leadership captured the world's attention. So, this commission was led or headed by Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt is the wife of former US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. And then finally, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is UDHR, was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948 on 10th December 1948. So it is a milestone document in the history of human rights, and the declaration was proclaimed by the UN General Assembly in Paris, France on 10th December 1948. So in the remembrance of every year, 10th December is observed as Human Rights Day, and it is a regular observance commenced from 1950. So this UDHR is regarded as the modern international Magna Carta of human rights, and its principles have been incorporated into the constitutions of most of the nation. So this is regarded as the Magna Carta, and this principle is used in number of nations, that is more than 185 nations. They follow this UDHR. So UDHR has been translated into more than 500 languages, and it is the most translated document in the world. So this principles is translated into more than 500 languages. So now let's see the preamble of UDHR. So preamble means what is the motive behind UDHR. So let's see it. All men are born free and all are equal in status and rights, and they are endowed with intelligence and conscience and obliged to promote the spirit of common brotherhood among all men. So according to the preamble of UDHR, all are equal in status as well as in rights, and we have to celebrate the brotherhood within ourselves. So now let's see the Cyrus Cylinder of 539 BC. Cyrus Cylinder is a new beginning for the Middle East. So let's see it. Cyrus the Great was the first king. So Cyrus was the first king of ancient Persia. He freed the slaves and declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion and established racial equality. So Cyrus was the first king of ancient Persia. He freed the slaves and he gave equality to all. And next one is, these and other degrees were recorded on a baked clay cylinder in the Akkadian language in cuneiform script. It is translated into all 6 official languages of the United Nations, and its provisions parallel the first 4 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So all the principles of the King Cyrus were recorded on a baked clay. So this clay is called the Cyrus cylinder, where he freed all the slaves. Everything is recorded there. It was written in Akkadian language in cuneiform script. So these principles were the first 4 article in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it is translated into 6 official languages of UNO. So now let's see, the human rights are based on the values of. So it is based on the values of, first one is dignity. It is based on the values of dignity. So dignity means self-respect. So let's see it. The right to life and the right to integrity, the prohibition of enforced labor, slavery and degrading punishment. So dignity means respecting the self, respecting oneself. So that is called dignity. So the first value of human right is dignity. And second one is justice. So justice means the right to fair trial, proportional punishment to crime, the right not to be tried more than once for the same crime. So equal before law. So everyone are equal before law, and they should not be punished for the same crime again and again. And next one is equality. So equality means equal before everything, that is equal before law, without any discrimination on the race, religion, gender, age, ability or disability. So everyone are equal before the law. So now let's see the basic characteristic of human rights. So what are the basic characteristics of human rights? First one is inherent. First one is inherent. They are not granted by any person or authority. So these kinds of human rights are not granted by a person or some authority or some association. It is basic. Second characteristic is fundamental. So they are the fundamental rights because without them the life and dignity of man will be meaningless. So all the human rights, all the rights mentioned in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are fundamental rights without which we can't lead a dignified life. And the next one is inalienable. So inalienable means they cannot be taken away from the individual. So we can't take the human rights from a person. So it is a basic and fundamental rights mixed in the life. And the next characteristics of human rights is indivisible. That means they can't be denied even when other rights have already been enjoyed. So we can't deny any specific human rights for a specific person. So we can't deny the human rights. And the next characteristic feature is universal. That means human rights is for all. It is universal. So they apply irrespective of one's origin or status, and they are enforceable without national border. That is, it is for the whole world, entire world, without any discrimination. And next one is interdependent. The next characteristic feature of human rights is interdependent. So they are interdependent because the fulfillment or exercise of one human right cannot be had without the realization of the other. So we have to respect the other's rights also. Then only our human rights will be fulfilled. So these are all the basic characteristic features of human rights. So now let's see what are the different kinds of human rights. There are 30 articles incorporated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So totally there are 30 articles. The first 4 articles is based on the message of the Cyrus Cylinder. These rights are broadly classified into 5 primary categories. So they are as follows. So there are 30 articles which is divided into 5 categories. So let's see it. First one is civil rights. Second one is political rights. Third one is social rights. Fourth one is economic rights. And finally cultural rights. So the 5 principal categories is civil rights, political rights, social rights, economic rights and cultural rights. So let's see the definition for each. First one is civil rights. So civil means law and order. So the term civil rights refers to the basic rights afforded by the laws of the government to every person. So this means the right is to be treated as an equal to anyone else before the law. So it includes the rights to life, then liberty, the freedom from slavery and also arrest. Next one is political rights. So political rights means the voting. We have the right to choose our representatives. So the political rights are exercised in the formation and administration of the government. The civil and political rights are directly related to the modern democracy. So they protect the individual from the misuse of political power and recognize every individual's right to participate in their country's political process. It includes freedom of expression and also a peaceful assembly. So as a citizen, we have the basic human right, that is the right of expression, the right to express our feelings and the freedom of speech. Next one is social rights. It is necessary for an individual to fulfill or to fully participate in the society. So social rights is necessary for an individual to fully involved in the society. So what are the social rights? So social rights are those right of adequate standard of living, that is right to education, and next one is health care, and then food, clothing and shelter, and then social security. So these are all the basic social rights which are adequate to meet the standard of livings. And next one is economic rights. So let's see the economic rights. The right to participate in an economy that benefits all and to do desirable work. Economic rights guarantee every person to have conditions under which they are able to meet their needs. So economic rights means the right to participate in the desirable work, that is employment. And we have the human rights to choose our job to meet our daily requirements. So let's see some economic rights. So these rights include fair wage. So fair wage and the reasonable limitation of working hours. And next one is right to property and the basic need, that is shelter, education and adequate standard of living. Everything comes under economic rights. So now let's move on to cultural rights. So let's see about it. Cultural right means the right to freedom of religion and to speak the language and to practice the cultural life of the community. So we have the freedom to choose our religion and also to speak the language. So we have the freedom to speak the language, to practice the culture life of the community, and the right to share in scientific advancement. So we have the right to share our scientific advancement and the right to protect the moral and material interest. So these comes under cultural rights. So now let's see the difference between the human and civil rights. Human rights belong to everyone. So human right is for everyone and everywhere regardless of nation, gender, race, all that. Whereas civil rights are those rights that one enjoys by the virtue of citizenship in particular nation or particular state. So human rights are universal, whereas civil rights is meant for particular country or particular state. And then human rights are considered universal to all human beings and universal in all countries. Whereas civil rights, it vary greatly from countries to country or government to government. So human rights is same all over the world, whereas civil rights, it vary according to the country. And then no nation may rightfully deprive human rights to an individual. So we can't take the human rights from an individual. Different nations can grant or deny different civil rights and liberty. So civil rights can be granted based on the situations. Human rights are basic inherent with birth. So they are the basic right which comes along with the birth. Whereas civil rights, because of the situation, because of the creation in the society. So this is the difference between the human rights and the civil rights. So now let's see about the Human Rights Commission. So the basic Human Rights Commission. The Economic and Social Council, that is ECOSCO, the Economic and Social Council, a principal organ of the United Nations, was empowered to set up a commission for the promotion of human rights. So the United Nations, they set up a commission for the promotion of human rights. So let's see it. There are two types of commission. One is national level commission, other one is state level commission. So let's see both. First one is National Human Rights Commission, that is NHRC. The National Human Rights Commission of India was established on 12th October 1993. Its headquarters is located in New Delhi. So this NHRC was established on 12th October 1993 and the headquarters is located at New Delhi. So, it is an statutory body. So, it is an independent statutory body. So, let's see it. NHRC is a multi-member body which consists of a chairperson. So, it consists of one chairperson and other members. President only appoints the chairperson and the other members. They are appointed for 5 years or till the age of 70 years, whichever is earlier. So, the chairperson and other members are appointed by the president for the term of office of 5 years. So, this National Human Rights Commission has 5 divisions. First one is Law Division. It has 5 divisions or 5 departments. So, first one is Law Division. And second one is Investigation Division. Second one is Investigation Division. And then Policy Research and Programs Division. So Policy Research and Programs Division. And next one is Training Division. And then Administrative Division. So Training Division and Administrative Division. So National Human Rights Commission has 5 departments. All these departments are responsible for the protection and promotion of human rights in India. So now let's see the state level Human Rights Commission. Okay, national level is established at New Delhi. So now let's see the State Human Rights Commission. The State Human Rights Commission of Tamil Nadu was formed on 17th April 1997. It functions at the state level. It consists of 3 members including a chairperson. It consists of 3 members and 1 chairperson. So now let's see human rights organizations. So many organizations around the world have taken their immense efforts to protect the basic human rights and to end the human rights abuses. So these non-governmental organizations monitor the actions of government and pressure them to act accordingly to the basic human rights principles. So many organizations were set up, and these organizations, it monitored the government. It monitored the government works and it asked them to act accordingly to the human rights principles. So some of these organizations are Amnesty International Organization, and next one is Children's Defense Fund, and next one is Human Rights Watch. So these are all the non-governmental organizations which work for the human rights. So now let's see some Indian Constitution articles related to human rights. Indian Constitutions related to human rights. So let's see it. First one is Article 24. So Article 24, it prohibits child labor. So prohibition of employment of children in factories. It prohibits child labor. And next one is Article 39F. Article 39F, it provides for children to develop in healthy manner. So it is for the children to develop in a healthy manner. And next one is Article 45. So Article 45, it provides that the state shall endeavor to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. So until they complete the age of 6 years, they must get the childhood education. So now let's see some basic child rights. So let's see some basic child rights. So according to the Article 1 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1989, a child means every human being below the age of 18 years. So according to the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child Act of 1989, child means any person below the age of 18 years. And also, the Convention on the Rights of the Child was proclaimed by the UN, that is United Nations, on 20th November 1989. So it was proclaimed on 20th November 1989. So the child is considered as an important national asset. Asset means a national property, important national property, because the future of the nation, it depends on how its children mature and develop. So the future depends upon the children. For that only the basic child rights was implemented. And also protection of children from all kinds of exploitation and abuses has become the main objective of our society. And there are laws in India protects the rights of children. So let's see some basic laws in India which protects the rights of the children. Before that, UNO has declared 1978 as the International Year of Women. So 1978 is regarded as the International Year of Women. Similarly, 1979 was declared as International Year of Children. So UNO has declared 1979 as the International Year of Children. So now let's see some basic child rights in our Indian law. First one is right to education, that is RTE. RTE means right to education. So according to the Article 21A, it provides that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children aged from 6 to 14 years. So free and compulsory education to all from the age of 6 to 14 years according to Article 21A. And next one is Child Labour Act or Prohibition and Regulation Act of 1986. So according to this, it provides no child who has not completed 15 years of age can be employed. So next is, that is no child. So the child who has not completed 15 years of age cannot be employed in a factory, or it cannot be worked as a labor. Next one is Juvenile Justice Act 2000, that is Care Protection of Children. So the Juvenile Justice Act of 2000, Care and Protection of Children. So according to this act tries to protect the children deprived of adequate care and to reform the children by adopting child-friendly approach. So according to this, we can give reforms. So we can give a re-life to the children, to the deprived children. Next one is POSCO Act of 2012. POCSO Act of 2012. So that is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act regards the best interest of the child as being paramount importance in every state. So POSCO means Protection of Children from Sexual Offences. That is, we can protect the children from the misbehavior of others. According to that, 1098, that is 1098 is the child helpline. 1098 is the child helpline. So this is India's first 24 hours free emergency phone service for children in need of assistance. In case of any help, the child can call 1098. So special care is given for vulnerable children, those affected by child labor, child marriage, and children affected by any abuse. So now let's see about the women right. That is the basic rights for the women's. Women's and girls' rights are human rights. So women's and girls' rights are the human rights. And also women's are entitled to fulfill an equal enjoyment of all their human rights. So women's are entitled to the full and equal enjoyment of all their human rights and to free from all forms of discriminations. So women and men both are equal. And also this is the fundamental to achieve the human rights, peace and security and sustainable development, a balanced development. And also the Charter of the United Nations guarantees equal rights to both women and men. The Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, that is CEDAW, means Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination. It was adopted in 1979 by the UN General Assembly, is described as an international bill of the rights for women. And also in 1995, the 4th World Conference of Women held in Beijing developed a platform for the action to recognize the women's rights and to improve the women's livelihood worldwide, and follow-up meetings monitored the progress towards the meeting these goals. So the 4th World Conference of Women was held at Beijing in the year 1995. Everything worked for the welfare of the women and to provide a sustainable development in the society. That means a balanced development. So now let's move on to the next right, that is Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizen Act 2007. So next one is Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizen Act of 2007. According to this act, makes its legal obligation for children and heirs to provide maintenance to senior citizens and parents. Protection and support during old age are envisaged as human rights. So according to this act, they are given some maintenance for senior citizens and parents to protect their old age. So now let's see some legislations and its provisions. That is some act and its meaning. So first one is the Hindu Widow Remarriage Act of 1856. According to this, legalized widowed remarriage. And second one is the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. That means the states that the marriageable age for women is 21. Next act is the Hindu Succession Act of 1956 that ensures the right to women to inherit their parental property. So women can inherit their parents' property. Next one is the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961. According to that, it provides drastic punishment for those ill-treating the bride in the name of dowry. Next one is the Eve Teasing Act of 1997. It gives relief to women. Next is Indecent Representation Act of 1999. It prohibits the indecent representation of women in magazine, newspapers, etc. Then the Factory Act of 1948, and then the Plantation Labor Act of 1951, the Mines Act of 1952, and the Maternity Benefit Act of 1961. All these acts, it protects the women workers. Then the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005, it protects the women from harassment by husband and any other family members. So these are some acts which was passed by the Constitution for the goodness of the women, for the welfare of the women. So we have come to an end of today's session. So with this video, the Civics 4th unit, that is Human Rights and UNO, is completed. So you can try to do your book back exercises. So refer your textbook. Today's topic are covered from page number 189 to 194. So now it's time for questions. So let's see some evaluation questions. In case of any doubts, you can go through the whole session video once again, or else you can refer your textbook. So let's see some evaluation questions. First one, each individual has what to lead a dignified life? Human rights are what kind of rights? Third question, the State Human Rights Commission was formed on which year? Article 24 of Indian Constitution prohibits which? And finally, United Nations Organization was established in the year of. So try to answer all these questions in the notebook which you are maintaining for social science. So with this video, United Nations Organization, that is Human Rights and UNO, is completed. Every human has rights. Thank you.